sunglasses and getting chased by cops through farm country. Jimmy just laughs or smiles most of the time, but he's slow and quiet, and one of the sloppiest eaters in the world. He takes a big gulp of sauce and grain, and a nice outline fills around his plate on green felt. I look at my dad, who's taken notice. I smile. He shakes his head. Mike Varela, my dad's neighbor from down the road, is serving himself a big portion, giving Jimmy hell for spilling sauce on the felt. Are we going to play Jack with a meatball on my deck? He grew up in Muskegon Heights and lived in the city his whole life. Mike's a small Hispanic man, shorter than me, but he never takes shit from anybody, and he always dishes it right back. He's got dark tan skin and deep black hair, but it's slowly fading to gray. He's got his 24-ounce Wesco foam cup filled with a Miller, trusty always with him to complement his meal, for the music, for the sports, or his box of Newports. Didn't matter, he always had it with him, just like tonight. My dad gets the pot from Mike and he starts dishing out some for himself. It's perfect, and when it hits the bowl, it's so hot and flavored and rich and red, you gotta sit back, because it might blind you, there's so much steam. And even when you do, the proximity still causes you to sweat. We've got Cole's garlic bread too, and that may not be authentic Italian, but the factory's down the road, and hell, it tastes better than the real deal. Salt and black pepper, wine and water, cards and candles, center table, Dad's to my left, Jenny and Mike to my right, and I'm head of the table, at least for this dinner. Sinatra's warmed up good now in the living room, and he's moved on to my way, and Dino's passing out about this time, drunk, and all went down, it's perfect. And we're eating and all is good. No, scratch that, it's great. And I look at my dad and we smile. It's just like when they got off the boat, right, son? It is. Yeah, I respond. Except instead of a bunch of paisans, all we got is a sloppy eater and a drunk. And this gets Jimmy and Mike splitting sides, and so I start cracking up too. Jimmy is bobbing with tirades of laughter, and Mike is halfway down slumping in his chair, chuckling, which triggers back spasms. But he can't stop laughing or yelling in pain, so he gathers enough air and hurrahs a plea. Stop it. But this gets us laughing even harder. I look at my dad and he's shaking his head. But then he busts out laughing too. Because he knows he shouldn't, but can't help it. Neither can I. Like I said, the apples never go too far. And that's how it usually was, those spaghetti dinners at my dad's. There were other faces and friends most of the time, old ones and new, friendly or just familiar. But there was always the four of us. And we always had Sinatra and cards and foods and jokes and never split on sixes, are you crazy? And Floyd over Manny and Rudman Creek out the living room window just past Addison Street, glowing orange from the old street light hue. And that was it. That was the good old days.
Okay, and thank you, Mike. That was really beautiful. So our final theme, it's a really big one. It's something that keeps coming up time and time again throughout the semester. Detroit is interesting. And this slide was included as a joke for someone who's not even here, but the next slide, right, Steven? Steven's our history professor, and he gives us shit all the time about using vague words to describe things that really need a lot of detail. And so we'll say interesting, and he'll be like, what does that even mean? And we have to explain. So, go ahead again. So another lesson that we learned this semester is that word choice matters. We talk about the fact that history is not only what happened, but it's how we remember it, and it's how we talk about it. And so, yes, that was our final thing. Yeah, I think that's everything. Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to head into a time of intermission. Help yourself to the food. We have our books here that we've been working a lot of the semester on from the latest class. Take a look at those. And then we also have a little note on the piano for words of wisdom if you want to drop them in there as we're ending the program kind of as a farewell or yeah, you have until 4:25, I believe.
Yeah.
4:25. So.
And then we'll just, yeah. And then we're just going to come back together to do some like closing things. So.
How you doing?
We're done.
Sorry? Oh, the light's not even on yet? Oh, yep, there it is. Okay, so now, you remember the password? Yep. Okay. Don't want to spoke this up. Jose is going to present to you guys a little bit about his general paper scholarship.
Ladies and gentlemen, I had the honor this semester of being the first inaugural General Gordon Baker Jr. Scholarship recipient. Unfortunately, I did not have the honor to meet General Gordon Baker as a person before he passed, but I have been getting to know him through people that he was close with, such as Craig Register and his cousin, Charles Farrell. So Charles Farrell was doing this project of transcribing interviews of General Gordon Baker, and I volunteered to help him with this project just so I could learn more about the man that I was bestowed a scholarship in the name of. And as I was reading more and more about him, I was thinking, wow, this guy is absolutely amazing. Like, all of the activism that he did over the course of his life was truly inspirational. Those of you who do not know General Gordon Baker Jr., he was born September 6, 1941. He grew up and was raised in Black Bottom before it was demolished through the construction of I-75. After that, he moved downriver. After graduating high school, he got into a lot of activism, pro-African American activism. Some of the organizations that he was a part of was the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, as well as the NAACP Youth Wing, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, as well as Friends of SNCC, and he founded in his college career at Wayne State University, organization known as Uhuru. This organization, in 1963, started and ran, did several developments within the city of Detroit. Some of the prominent activism that it took place were with the Cynthia Scott killings, in which an unarmed African American woman was shot in the back 5 times by police officers. They ran a large campaign all throughout the city of Detroit, kind of trying to get this to the media. It wasn't until after their activism that it was really brought up. So that was one of the really big cases that he worked on, as well as the 1963, in 1963, the Olympics for the 1968 were the city of Detroit was trying to get the 1968 Olympics to be in the city of Detroit by filming this video. And in this video, it was one of the marathon runners who ran triathlon, or event where they passed the torch all the way from California to New York. And he was running through the city of Detroit in an effort to try to get the 1968 Olympics to Detroit. Detroit was filming as they were running through to proclaim how awesome a Detroit city was, so they would host the event. What Uhuru, General Gordon Baker, and fellow organizations did were they completely ruined the footage by protesting at that event, saying that if they cannot be racial, or if there's segregated housing, there cannot be event that is international unity, because there is no city unity within the city. So he did all of these great things with these organizations. He was an associate. He did some events with the Nation of Islam, although he was not a Muslim. He also did numerous things. One of the trips that he made, which is kind of like I would like to think my link to him, was in 1964. He went to a trip to Cuba, where he got to meet Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, where he had several meetings with Che. And I like to think that my link with him is, as I'm part Cuban, so that, of course, but also, additionally, my work and my research is going to be in Cuba, an Afro-Cuban syncretic faith and culture. So I feel like that with me and him, we kind of have that link, because he notes it as one of his greatest events that happened, because he got to meet all of these prominent revolutionary actors, and as well as all throughout South Africa and the United States. So in my future, I want to be a professor, teaching about the African and Caribbean diasporas at the university level. So yeah, I mean, this guy, it's an honor to receive such an amazing award in the name of this amazing person. So thank you. I'd also like to thank Eleanor for bringing the scholarship up to the semester in Detroit.
Yeah.
As well as Kirk and Charles Farrell and Lolita. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Jose. Okay, so we're gonna close out here soon, but before we do that, we have quite a few thank yous to say and give. So before we get into people who are affiliated with the program of ENIAC, just for all of the supervisors and coworkers that couldn't make it out today, thank you so much for everything, for all of your support this semester. We've had a wide variety of experiences, and they've all been so positive and meaningful. So thank you. Yeah. And okay, now we have a few other thank yous to say. So I think everyone is going to come up here and give a couple. Everyone has the same gift of sorts. I'm going to explain what it is very quickly. We'll use Leroy's bag as an example. Oh yeah. So Leroy is Diana and Will Copeland's son. He is the most beautiful, energetic little boy, and we love him very much. So we made him this bag to thank him. But it's not only a bag. There's more. Inside the bag, there are a bunch of handwritten notes and affirmations, just expressing our thanks and gratitude and what we admire most about all of you. So I don't know who's first. It was Michael. Yeah, Michael first. Thanks. Oh, and if the person is not here, we'll just keep them. Yeah.
Thank you. So I had D. Wayne, Daryl, and Ed. I know Daryl and Ed aren't here, but D. and Wayne are, so what's up? D, you're one tough woman.
Yes, I
I'm almost positive a lot of this operation goes on because of you, and I like talking to you, and I see you around here all the time working hard. So I just want to say thank you very much for letting us stay here, being in this space, walking around, working all the time.
All right.
And I want to say thank you to Wayne. Wayne, you've been around, you're always doing hard work with Freedom and a lot of other events with, the water talks that you guys have around here, just always being around here. We've had a lot of political talks together, gone on for I have no idea how long. Missed a lot of homework assignments talking to you.
I had nothing to do with it.
And Wayne even sat in on a couple of our history classes because he just loves to learn. He's a student of life and an educator in many ways. So thank you very much, Wayne. And then just real quick, Ed and Daryl aren't here, but they work around the commons and do a lot of work. And they help out doing the maintenance and cleaning up, setting up tables. So I just want to say thank you to them real quick. Daryl never offers you anything with rum, say no, because that man is dangerous.
Jeez.
All right, so thank you very much. Yeah, next.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. So I'm going to be talking very briefly, thanking two of our cohort members who are just as much members of our cohort as those of us who lived upstairs, Jordan and Alone. You guys are part of the family, and I'm not sure Alone is right now, but
Yeah, you had to leave,
Oh.
you had to catch the bus.
we'll get into it. Alone came all the way from Ann Arbor today just to see us, which was a lot, especially with the snow. And he came in the morning just so he wouldn't get caught in it, which is like, I think, a really big testament to his character, how much he means to us, and how much we probably, I can safely assume, mean to him. So we're really lucky to have gotten to know him over the semester, even though he wasn't with us upstairs the whole time. Same goes for Jordan, and We are so proud of you that you made it even when your degree was being held hostage. I mean, not to say that I'm glad it was, but I feel really lucky to have been able to spend time with you, and I know everyone would agree with me that we look forward to Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, oh my God. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and seeing you around the Detroit Center, and we don't know how you do what you do, but you do it all really well, and we're so glad to know you. So thank you.
So I had Will and Sawatu. Will is Diana's husband, but essentially their role with us has been they work at ENIAC, and they do a lot of activist work, and they've helped us out with some workshops in our reflection class, just processing what that means. To work within community developments or things of that nature, and they just have been a big part of kind of like structuring and processing our thoughts together, and they're just a very supportive group too, so we just want to thank them for that.
So I'm actually up here to thank Craig and Marion, program director and program coordinator. And there are a lot of people who make this program possible, but as far as our day-to-day lives go and our weekly lives go, Craig and Marion are our point people as students, and they treat us like people and not just like students, and that's one of the beautiful things about this program. They have been incredibly supportive and are just amazing people, and I wouldn't want anybody else to run this program. It's been an amazing experience being here with you guys, and we wanted to thank you for that. So.
I'd also like to just acknowledge that Rory over here helped us out with some of the more elaborate bags. So if you're wondering why yours is so good, it's because a fine arts major helped out. And so thank you, Rory.
If you're wondering why it's so bad, it's because I did it.
I took Craig though, that was me.
That's really good.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time on that.
I told you you know it. Wow.
Alright, and then the final and most grateful thank yous are for our professors, Lolita Hernandez. Thank you. You have been so open with us, and you've led us week to week, doing these amazing assignments, reflecting on ourselves, and living in Detroit. So I want to thank you, Lolita. The second professor, Diana Copeland. She left. Oh, okay. It's fine. She's cool. She's awesome. She's an awesome professor. She taught us grassroots organizing. She was absolutely amazing. Every week we had new activities, and it was always a blast going to her class. And then the last professor, Stephen Ward, he couldn't make it today. He couldn't make it today, but he was absolutely a scholar in every sense of the word of Detroit, and very interesting.
You announced the two programs that you had created, the dates, so people can invite everyone.
All right, cool. So January 28th at the Charles A. Drake Museum of African American History, we have an event called Deportation Then and Now, where we'll be comparing the 1930 repatriation movement of the Mexicans and Mexican Americans who were illegally deported to Mexico during the Great Depression because of the systemic and racial policies that existed at the time. As well as on April 28th, we have an event it's called Strong Voices of Southwest Detroit, where we have Sacramento Knox and Antonio Cosme performing at the Charles A. Drake Museum. You guys are all welcome. They're both free and open to the public, and I hope you guys can come through.
Okay, yeah, thank you all very much. This program would not be possible without.
Reset.
Just push the button.
Lolita, Rory did that.
See you in Vegas.
Okay, it's working.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we offer, our greatest thank yous and, we love yous and everything. And we're almost done. We're gonna do one final thing, which is we're gonna go around the room one more time and, just if you have any, like, wish or hope, or word of affirmation for the people in this room as we leave here and re-enter the snow and move forward with our lives from this moment. You can say,